Well, I'm joined now by the artist Peter Kennard, who made his name as an anti-establishment artist back in the 70s and 80s. I think more back into painting and lecturing these days. But just let's remind ourselves of Maggie Regina, an iconic photo montage that depicted Margaret Thatcher as Queen Victoria back in the day. Peter Kennard, she clearly was a figure that just sparked the imagination, the anger, the vitriol, the fury, whatever it was, of a generation of artists, actors, playwrights, and so on.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is about Thatcher that she was the leader, she looked like the leader, and she felt like the leader. So she wasn't a PR construction in the same way that Cameron is, with a blankness like Cameron. She was direct. So we had to attack her directly ourselves. And obviously the press and was nearly totally on Thatcher's side. So we had a small window to get in there and to try and make images about her that would actually visually express what she was saying.
What did you hope to achieve? I mean, was it in a way a social commentary? Was it satire? How did you see what you were doing through your art?
Well, what I was doing was trying to picture, like in the one you showed of mine, that was her talking about we must return to Victorian values. So I was trying to picture what she was actually saying and to try to break through the bland media coverage of it all and to try and get through to some truth there. And then if people can see that images support what they feel, then it helps them.
I mean, there's no doubt at the time there was a huge groundswell across, the whole artistic field, really, wasn't there?
Yeah, I mean, the people were very inspired. I mean, it was a horrendous situation. All the things that we believed in, like the NHS, and all these things were being attacked, and the miners, and the whole working class. So as an artist, it's our responsibility, I feel it's our responsibility to react to that and to respond to it and to actually make work against that. I mean, we live in a society where it's allowed. We can make these criticisms. We don't get locked up for it if we're artists. So I think one should use that space to actually make work about it.
Did it have impact, do you think, at the time?
I think it did have impact. It showed that there was a struggle going on, not just in like the miners and in the nurses, but there was a struggle going on by people that were actually creating images. And there was a struggle going on against all the sort of hurrah press that Thatcher was getting, especially like in the Murdoch press, where they every day was extolling her virtues. We had a small area that we had to get into and show that there was another voice in the country. There are other voices who are actually feeling the pinch and finding ways to express it.
I suppose the irony was that you were sparked by her, you were triggered by her, but you're also inspired in a way. Without Maggie Thatcher, you wouldn't have had much to kick against, as you say, rather like these days.
Well, I think we have got a lot to kick against. I mean, I'm doing an exhibition about Cameron in 3 weeks. It's just that he's a construction of the PR industry. He was in PR, where she believed that she could just say everything herself. She could go for it. She could say no, no, no. She could do all that. And she didn't. She was on the surface, so she was ideal in a sense to satirize and to make images against, because it was all there in front of her. It's just a bit more subtle now, but the need for artists and writers, musicians to actually look at what's happening in Britain now is just as vital as it was then.
Although, to be honest, these days, perhaps the depth and the strength of the satire and the art and the theatre and the music then, it was much stronger then than it is 20, 30 years down the line, isn't it? Is that because she was such a clear figure to kick against?
No, I actually think it's because the world's got much more corporate, and I don't think like Spitting Image would have got onto national TV now. I don't think, I think the corporations and the advertisers have got more powerful, so the criticism is put more to the side, that we've become much more marginal to the main debate. And I think that's very scary. And I think, even in terms of the area I'm in, art, most of the big galleries and the public funding's been removed, so they're sponsored by private capital, so they have to be careful what they show. You know, people were a bit frightened to go out on a limb now.
Peter Kennard, very good talking to you. We shall look forward to your thoughts on David Cameron coming up very shortly. Thank you.
Thanks.